Hi everyone, welcome to the first full episode of Everyday Encouragement, a series of short videos designed to help us encourage one another during this season. And with all this stuff going on with the coronavirus, we kind of find we have a double problem, don't we? The first problem is we have this time of uncertainty. Now we might be anxious about the virus itself, or we might be anxious that the response to the virus is going to cause trouble in our society. Maybe some will lose jobs, things like this. But generally, there's this rising sense of fear of the unknown, and that can affect us as well. And yet, at the same time, the best solution for this fear as Christians is to really gather together as saints and to encourage one another in the Lord. And yet, during this season, we can't do that in the ordinary way. Now, the writer to the Hebrews recognizes our need to gather together for encouragement. He writes in Hebrews 10:24 and 25, he says, "And let us consider how to stir one another up to love and good works, not neglecting to meet together, as is the habit of some, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day drawing near." It says that we meet together in order to encourage one another. This word encourage can mean a few things. It can mean to strongly exhort someone, to kind of push them along in their faith. It can mean to instill courage in someone, or to cheer them up, or even to comfort them. The word is really two words put together. It literally means to call to one side. The idea here is that we come along beside someone else and bear them up, whatever their need might be. And so we want to think today about how we can encourage one another, even though we can't meet together like we normally would. And to do that, I want to look with you at Hebrews 3, verses 12 to 13. Hebrews 3, 12 to 13 says, "Take care, brothers, lest there be in any of you an evil, unbelieving heart, leading you to fall away from the living God. But exhort one another every day, as long as it is called today, that none of you may be hardened by the deceitfulness of sin." I want to just point out three quick things here from this verse. The first is that we have a warning, don't we? It says we must take care so that we are not hardened by the deceitfulness of sin. And this danger of being hardened by sin is even maybe more pronounced now in this time of added stress. This is something we need to be aware of. Now, second, we see that the way to avoid being self-deceived is to exhort one another. This word exhort is the same verse, the same word that we just saw in Hebrews 10. That was there said encourage. We're called to serve one another in this way by coming alongside of them, exhorting them, encouraging them, comforting them, whatever the case may be for them. And third, we are to do this for one another every day. That's what it says, every day. Some translations say daily, day by day. Even when we can meet on Sundays and Wednesdays and whenever else we normally gather, encouraging one another every day is something that we're called to do. And this is, of course, more crucial now than ever. Now, I want to suggest a few ways we can do this, even though we can't meet as we normally do in the large group. Now, first, there's still a very low risk of meeting in small gatherings. And so, if you're comfortable with it and you yourself are healthy, don't do this. If you're really sick, that's normal. But invite someone over for coffee or for a meal. And listen, if the person you're inviting says, "I'm not comfortable with that right now," assume they love you and assume they're grateful that you offered, even if they say no at this time. Don't worry about it. But secondly, we have lots of tools now. We have email, Facebook, Skype, FaceTime, ordinary phone calls, all these things. Never has it been easier for us to encourage one another every day than it is now. And so choose a verse for someone and send them the verse. Let them know that it's for them specifically. Call someone on the phone. Ask them how they're doing. Ask someone how you can pray for them, and then actually pray for them. Now, I want to put a challenge before us during this particular season. My challenge is that every single day, that every single member of our church would be encouraged by someone else in the church. If you're in another church and you're hearing this, make that your own challenge. May not a day go by where each of us doesn't receive some form of encouragement from somebody else. This isn't actually an extreme or unreasonable challenge. This is exactly what it says in Hebrews 3:13. Encourage one another every day. And consider especially those who don't have things like email or Facebook. Make sure they're not being overlooked, especially the elderly who are essentially locked in at this time. So we hope this season is short, but we also find this season might draw us closer to one another instead of pulling us apart. And so I want to encourage you, love one another from a sincere heart, make sure nobody's overlooked, encourage one another daily as long as it is called today. We'll see you next time.